I started from the question of how come some people enjoy other people's suffering? And then how come other people in the same society are just the opposite? They get their joy not in believing that there's bad people that need to be punished, but they get their joy in contributing to people's well-being. The first thing I'll suggest is you can't teach anybody anything. And to have that as an objective is itself to create problems. So let's change the objective. Let's never try to teach anybody anything or to change anybody. If that's your objective, you'll create resistance. Saying what we don't want doesn't make clear what we do want. But worse than that, if we frame our objectives in getting rid of something, it leads to violence very often. It makes violence seem attractive when we try to get rid of something. Behind every feeling, there is a need. When she hears your needs without hearing any criticism or demand, and you hear her needs without any criticism and demand, the solution will find you. The conflict will resolve itself. It does need to be resolved. But what most of us do, we skip this and go right to here. Needs contain no reference to specific ways of getting the needs met. Those are preferences or strategies or requests. So we make a big difference between needs and between preferences, requests, strategies. All needs are universal. Every human being in the world has the same needs. I'm not doing it for money. I'm not doing it to get a positive report card. I'm doing it because something that has increased joy in my life, it's joyful to share it with others. It's a fun game. It's the most fun game I've ever found, contributing to people's well-being. I'm really confident it's the most fulfilling game we human beings will ever find.
Hello, welcome to Love Smart, where we're exploring empathy, gratitude, and character development. My name is Katrina Valancourt. I am the founder and creator of the Love Smart cards. This is an emotional intelligence training tool that gets you steeped in this knowledge of how to become masterful at the art of empathy, at bringing gratitude into your regular daily practice, and recognizing that developing character will not only increase your emotional resiliency and joy in life, but it serves your success in every single area of life. So I'm delighted to be here today with my business partner and dear friend, Linda Switzer. She is a neurotransformational coach. She has studied nonviolent communication. She has a license with the Gottman process, so she's a licensed couples therapist, and she's also trained in EFT. And with that, I'm so delighted to have you here with us, Linda. So welcome to the show.
Good morning, Katrina. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Today we're going to be demonstrating the Love Smart cards and specifically focusing on empathy. And I know you have a friend who said that she could use some empathy this morning. So yeah, would you like to introduce your friend?
Absolutely. This is Annalise. And are you bringing her on so that people can see her?
I think that's probably.
Wonderful. Hello.
Annalise is a dear friend and a former housemate, and she was popping by to pick something up this morning. And I asked her just a simple question that I sometimes ask people, which is there something that you could use some empathy for today? Mm-hmm. Is there something going on in your life that you'd like to receive some extreme passion and empathy for today? And and so she said yes. She said, of course. Oh my gosh. And who wouldn't want that?
Wonderful. So empathy, just for people who are not really familiar with nonviolent communication, empathy is the foundational practice. You saw Dr. Marshall Rosenberg talking a bit about feelings and needs, and you saw words lists in that opening video. If you'd like to be able to track these words lists and actually follow along and practice on your own, you can go to lovesmartcards.com, which is scrolling below here, and there is a free tools tab. These words lists, these emotions, and these universal needs are available there for you to follow along. And of course, if you have Love Smart cards, then we're looking at doing empathy generally with the gray deck, the emotions connected to unmet needs, and with the green deck, these are the universal longings, needs, longings, values, and desires. So those are the ways you can follow along with us. And a little bit more I just wanted to say about empathy and compassion. We have this famous quote from the Dalai Lama that only the development of compassion and understanding for others can bring us the tranquility and happiness we all seek. So this is a really deep practice that we do to be able to serve the well-being of the people around us, but it also serves our own well-being at the same time. And so as we're listening to Annalisa, what our goal is to be able to reflect back to her in a way where she feels she's been heard, understood, and valued. So that's our goal. And in order to do that, it's important that we are maintaining these character strengths. We want to be conscious or present, compassionate, and courageous. It's not always easy to share some of these things that are more vulnerably alive. And so I'm really grateful to have you on the show sharing this with us. And then one more thing, as Linda and I are listening to Annalisa and preparing to give her empathy and compassion, we have some do's and don'ts, kind of best practices. And so you want to make sure that when you're listening to another person, do pay attention, right? Pay attention to what the other person is saying. Oftentimes we might be quasi paying attention. We're listening, but really in our mind, we're looking at how we might respond. What's going to be our how are we going to fix it? Or are we going to, question what their thoughts are? There's a lot of this stuff going on in the mind. We want to try and clear the minds that we're really being present to the person who's speaking. And so when I say presence, really seeking to have an open-hearted presence, regardless of what the other person's saying. And so when I say an open-hearted presence, I'm encouraging people to be able to experience their genuine care for a fellow human being, and to feel respect and to feel kindness and warmth for this other person. So those are some do's inside of empathy. And the other one is that when we're going to reflect back, we're seeking to reflect back some of the thoughts, the beliefs, the emotions, and then the underlying values. Again, this is values, longings, needs, desires. We're going to use those words synonymously as we're talking about nonviolent communication. We'll go deeper into what that means later on. So we want to reflect these back so as to accurately and respectfully discover if we've heard them as they intended to be heard. What we're not doing with empathy is we're not going to argue with them. We're not going to try and convince them that they're thinking wrong or anything's wrong, or speak to them in a way that they would not want to be spoken to, right? Wanting to maintain this kindness, this consideration, respect, and open-hearted presence, and to really share those qualities as we reflect back what we've heard. So some quick do's and don'ts. Is there anything, Linda, that you might like to add in preparation for this demonstration?
No, I just want to do it. I'm a kinesthetic learner, so I like the hands-on approach, and that's partly why I love our tool, the Love Smart Cards.
Wonderful. All right, so let's pass the mic over to you, and Annalisa, we'd love to hear what it is that you would like to share with us and get empathy for.
Yeah. And I wanted to clarify, is Annalise going to have her own camera, Katrina? Will you be bringing her on with her device?
I don't see her device, so I can't bring her on with her own device.
Okay. Not showing up. Okay. All right.
Hi. Thank you very much. I guess one that is present for me at the moment is sort of moving, like processing a past relationship and not being able to move through anger to get to forgiveness and love and all the good stuff, you know. So just that challenge and wanting to sort of move through the inner dialogue, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So is there anything else you want to share about that? That's pretty much a synopsis of the situation.
Yeah. I guess it has been a good process thus far, but it's still, there's a key piece, a key moment, something that is that shift to freedom, liberation, all of that stuff that sets all that anger go, and you know, all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my challenge at the moment.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And I can really tell as you're speaking, because I can hear your voice and I can see in your eyes and I can see in your facial expression, and even some trembling in your hands, that this is really alive for you and that there's a lot of emotion behind this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really, really still up for you.
Yeah, and I'm kind of holding a bit of a victim mentality, which I'm aware of, and I don't want to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'd love to use the emotions connected to unfulfilled longings cards from the Live Smart card deck and just go through and identify some of the emotions that I'm guessing that you might be feeling.
Okay.
And one of the cards.
Yes, I'd love if we could clarify thoughts first. And I'm not sure if this is happening for our other viewers, but your voice is a little bit distant. And so it sounded like you're going through a relationship ending. And
Yes.
that's okay. I just wanted to make sure
it's over.
it's over.
It's
So you're
over.
going through the emotions of that transition.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
And what I'm noticing too, besides we have Annalise dog Tucker right beside us, and you would not believe the sounds he's making of compassion and empathy. He's so tuned in to your emotions, and he can feel you. I know, Tucker. Yeah. I'm going to get us to move over this way just a tiny little bit, so that just a tiny bit there.
Okay.
So. What I'm hearing too is not just the emotion around the ending of the relationship, but the bigger piece that I heard you express is that how you're feeling about where you're at in the grief process with the ending of the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, and your own judgment of self in regard to where you think you should be compared to where you are.
Where I would like to be. That's what I want to be.
Where you want to be. Yeah. Right. Does that clarify, Katrina?
Yes, thank you.
And can you hear us better now?
I can.
Okay, super. So I'm going to just go through the emotions connected to unfulfilled longings cards, and the prompt that I'm using is that I'm guessing you might be feeling, and this card is right in the Love Smart card set. And so with that guiding me, I'm going to look at each card one at a time and just ask myself the question, am I guessing that Annalise might be feeling this? So, and then I'm going to make two piles, a yes pile and a no pile, because when we do this process for ourselves, and actually I could have you participate. So maybe what I'll do is just divide the cards in half and give you half of them, and you can play at the same time. Okay, and that'll be quicker for me too, because I only have half as many cards to go through. So you can do the same thing. So about how you're feeling, am I feeling this right now? Yes or no? And you make two piles. And what I notice when I'm really triggered or upset or activated in a situation is that if I can just make one decision at a time, it's a little easier for me. Because when I'm trying to parse apart everything that's going on, it becomes overwhelming. And then that becomes another another emotional situation. Right? Okay, so we're going to just quickly do that.
So while they're flipping through those cards, and I'm going to put you on mute, you can unmute yourself when you're ready. As they're flipping through these cards, identifying emotions is one of the key pieces of a nonviolent communication. Our emotions actually are giving us information about what's going on in those deeper layers. It can be so easy to get caught up in thought in the process, especially with a relationship. It's so common to think, about what did I do wrong? Oh, I wish I had done this different, or to think about the good times and to mourn the loss of love, and to have your head spinning on all kinds of questions. Will I ever find love again? Or the mind can just spin on so many different things. And the mind spinning on these questions doesn't actually bring us to a place of peace, ease, clarity, and a sense of resolution, some sense of completion, or some ideas to how we can move forward. But when we can understand that our emotions are connected to our needs, that our emotions are giving us signals as to whether or not these universal needs are fulfilled or unfulfilled, it gets us one step closer to the underlying truth, to what's actually going on in our being. So they're starting out with the emotions, and it looks like they might be complete. And then we're going to go into needs to see how these two connect. And are you feeling ready here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think I'd like to start by guessing first. So I'm using the prompt of guessing that you might be feeling. And I'm just going to offer these to you. So they may be wrong and they may be right. And I'm not attached to being right. I'm just making the effort to enter your world and to understand what's going on for you right now. And I only had half the cards to choose from. I didn't have any of the cards that you had. So just to say that. So I'm guessing, Annalise, that you might be feeling sad, sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
heavy-hearted,
Mm-hmm.
heartbroken,
Mm-hmm.
exhausted, troubled,
Mm-hmm.
frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable, overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
stressed,
Yes.
tired, surprised.
Surprised. I'm surprised by that, but yes.
I love that. I love this process. I love it. Disappointed, despairing, and angry.
Yes. Well, picked. A couple of them. Yeah.
And you could just say thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
your thank you just appreciates me for making the effort to understand and enter your world. And that way, then you'll be able to choose from these and pick the most potent ones. And I would love to hear what you chose. And Annalise used the prompt card, I am feeling. And so that one's for you. And so,
All right.
what are your offerings?
Hurt, self-protective, helpless, depressed, lonely, vulnerable, discouraged, insecure, withdrawn, regretful.
Thank you. And my thank you is thank you for sharing.
Thank you too.
Yeah, thank you. So of all of these emotion cards, and we laid them all on the table here, so you can see that whenever we have an activation about something emotionally, that there can be a lot of feelings in the field, a lot of things showing up. And we can get really muddled and overwhelmed in the concoction, if you will, of feelings that are present. And so sometimes what can be useful is just to acknowledge all of the feelings and then start to decide which of the feelings that have been acknowledged are the most potent. So of this, could you pick sort of 5 to 8 that are really standing out for you that are like, wow?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the ones that from my pile that I felt was these ones.
Yeah. Hurt, self-protective, withdrawn. heartbroken. Sad. Fretful. This one showed up.
That surprised me because no, not that one.
Okay.
No.
So an interesting thing is, were there any that I offered that you uncovered that you didn't have a conscious awareness of before you did the cards?
Surprised.
Uh-huh.
That's a good one too.
Confused. So that's what I love about using the cards to support us, to increase our vocabulary around our emotions and all of our emotional intelligence, to give us the words that we might not have in the moment.
This one's coming over to Paul. Oops.
Yeah. I mean, you described anger earlier, and now you're not even choosing that card. You have all these other emotions to really represent a different language to represent what's going on inside of you.
Yeah.
How you're feeling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Neat.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's put the extras away. We'll just put them to the side. We know that those are in your emotional body and you're feeling these things, but the most important ones, and I'm just going to get you to say them real quick.
I'm feeling hurt, self-protective, withdrawn, heartbroken, sad, regretful, disappointed. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So I just want to take a moment and honor that as well. And I'm curious, as you went through these cards, how you're noticing, how do the cards impact your just connection to the emotions that are present for you?
It's it feels better, like what you just said. Makes it more real, makes the experience a little bit more whole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, this experience of it, and it makes it better. Like somehow just identifying the emotions has such a comforting effect.
Yeah, relaxing, strangely, even though it's like they're kind of like hard stuff to. Well, it's not hard to look at. It's reassuring, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you could tell on camera, Katrina, from there, but I can see from here sitting beside Annalise that her whole physiology has changed. Like her shoulders kind of dropped and her face is less scrunched up, and there's a relaxation in the tone of her voice. And it's really, I see a change already just from doing this.
Yeah, I feel it.
Do you feel different? Yeah.
Yeah. So next we go to the next step, which is to identify those universal needs, values, longings, and desires that are currently unfulfilled in this situation, and these are the things that are creating those emotions, right? Our emotions are actually created by these precious needs that at this time are not met. So I did have time to flip through the needs cards while you were doing your process.
And there are lots of them. So thank you for doing that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So these are the ones I chose quite a few. I'm sure I could have chosen more, but when a relationship, it just brings up so much in our heart in terms of the needs that are fulfilled in relationship, and then those needs that are going unfulfilled when the relationship transitions. So the question that we're looking at, because I'm doing a guess for Annalise, is I'm guessing that you have a need, longing, value, or desire for these things. So I'm going to tilt this down so I can place the cards down as I choose them. I was imagining that you're missing closeness and connection, touch, affection, stability, love, perhaps hope. This one wasn't as strong necessarily, but it seemed like it could be there. Companionship, tenderness, partnership, intimacy, comfort, nurturing, understanding, beauty, pleasure, choice to some degree, joy, friendship, and community. You know, sometimes relationships are also, there's a community that forms. There's kind of my friends and your friends come together. And so then when the relationship comes apart, you have these new friendships. And there's a question, will those remain or not? So that one came through as well. Yeah. Tilt this up so you can see what's there. And I'm not with you, so it's not quite as easy to sort cards the way you did with Linda. I'm wondering how this is resonating for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a few that stood out. Yeah, I feel very blessed with my friendships and community. So I feel fulfilled in many ways. In that sense. But things like understanding and love and joy, closeness, those ones really kind of stood out. Companionship, that's what I like, companionship.
Yeah. So still acknowledging these ones up here, but these are the 4 that are really standing out for you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So how does it feel just to acknowledge these needs? Does that bring you any greater clarity?
It does. Yeah. It does. And I think, yeah, it does.
One of the things that I really appreciated learning about nonviolent communication is that these needs are always driving our action, right? Whether we're conscious of it or unconscious of it, these needs are always driving our action. And if we're unconscious of it, oftentimes our strategies are less than conscious as well, right? So we might have a need for, say we might have a need for companionship and it's just been a breakup. It might show up as us complaining to somebody who we were in relationship with, you know, venting on them or frustrated with them because we have these needs that are not met. Now, it doesn't actually help us meet those needs, right? It's an unconscious strategy, but it's driven from this precious need. So when you can understand what the need is, then you can start looking at what are some conscious strategies that you can use to fulfill these needs in a way that's also going to support you coming to a greater space of completion in the relationship, right? Without getting re-enmeshed back in that challenge. So I'm curious as you look at these, if there's any thoughts that come to mind in terms of ways that you could care for yourself and care for these needs that are in alignment with your values.
Well, I guess what comes up, is the understanding card has got my attention, and I think that's like, but for me, it's like a letting go of having to. How do I describe it? It's understanding a different perspective, and instead of being like I want to be understood, like I want to understand, and it doesn't matter if anyone else understands or not. So it's more like personal work rather than, putting it on someone else. or wanting that from someone else, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, you know, all those things are accessible. The love, the joy, companionship, friendship. It's all there. It's all there for me.
With other people.
With other people, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the focus that I want to take. That's the mental realm that I want to be more present in, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're seeing access to.
Sorry, pardon, Katrina. I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I was, yeah, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
These moments are really tender, you know, when we're emotionally activated, you can really feel the energy with Annalise, and hopefully between Katrina and I having compassion for you in the situation. And the connection between the feelings and the needs is that when certain needs are not met, it leaves us feeling a certain way. And so I did throw down a few cards, the ones that Katrina mentioned and so on. And would you be able to connect directly the feelings and the needs, the longings, values, or desires with the emotions that you noted that you're feeling? So, for example, understanding was one that you mentioned. And so when you don't have understanding, how does that leave you feeling? Is it something from your feelings cards that you had pulled out?
Sun, withdrawn.
So just put them together in some kind of way.
Right.
Yeah. And then I don't know. There were some others that came up. Companionship, you said, was a key one. And I threw down some others from here. I don't know if they have relevance for you. This process that I always have clients do, where they organize the cards and put them together, connecting the feelings and the needs, so that there's a sense of connection between when needs are met, pleasant feelings result; when needs are not met, unpleasant feelings result. And just to manipulate physically the cards, where we put together the concept of the feelings and the needs, can be very soothing to the nervous system. I love to let the person I'm working with manually move the cards around and create some kind of visual configuration that represents what's happening inside them. And I find this to be very empowering and very, very calming. And there is some research actually for people who have PTSD or ADD or OCD that the tasks of sorting, categorizing, and organizing are very calming and soothing to the nervous system. So if it can do that for those kinds of difficulties, then, you know, when we're having regular daily kind of upset, which we have every single day, to smaller and larger degrees, certainly we can use those tasks of organizing, sorting, categorizing to calm ourselves. And I personally love doing this. It always gives me a picture, a snapshot of what's really going on inside me when I lay them down and I have it right there in front of me. So Annalise is creating this beautiful, I'm going to point the camera down a little bit away from me and toward what she's got going here. But, you know, she's also got some situations where there's, for example, here, where there's two needs and one emotion. And so that can totally happen, where when those two needs are not met, the emotion that we're left feeling is potentially just one thing. There's another one over here as well, when I don't want to put words in her mouth, and I'm going to ask her to explain this beautiful piece of art that she's creating out of her feelings today and her situation. Yeah, so sound good?
All right.
So tell us what you want to tell us about what you've put together here, connecting your feelings and your needs. So
okay. So I guess with I am when so the needs of understanding and communication
Are not met.
are not met. So if that's not met, then I withdraw. And yeah, and
You feel withdrawn.
I feel withdrawn. And so caring instead of long for caring rather than feeling hurt.
And when you're feeling hurt, it sometimes means that you're longing for caring.
All right.
Yeah. Take your time.
So long for connection and companionship. Which is the opposite of heartbroken. Long for joy, need joy. It's definitely a state I long for all the time, and I mean a lot of the time. Like,
it's not easy feeling sad.
Yes. Well, now that I contemplate that, it's hard to put them together because joy is such a big, all-encompassing emotion that sadness doesn't do it justice.
That's so true.
Just joy all the time. Regretful is something I feel sometimes, and instead of the high vibration of hope, which is, it's more focused on the future than the past. Self-protective. Self-protective kind of goes with withdrawn as well. It's like, and put love over here too. Give me a little cluster.
Yes, absolutely. They're all interrelated.
They are interrelated. And I don't know, maybe these don't really go together either, but just always.
I can see it. You're longing for
clarity. Clarity is clear. Disappointment isn't clear. It's emotional. And clarity is more aligned and balanced. Heart and mind, I think. Disappointed is just way more emotional.
They're still sad.
Oh yeah, I put it over there in the corner.
You put sad in the corner. I love it. Yeah. I got it.
Put it in with hope.
Sometimes there's an overarching need that kind of represents the whole situation. And, maybe joy or clarity are some of those parts that just really represent what's the one or two words that would describe, whoa, this is really, really potent.
Yeah.
It kind of encompasses a lot of things.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing. How does it feel to just organize them and consider putting together the feelings and the needs, and seeing where the feelings are coming from?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's great to just have the perspective of, it's the feelings can be feelings, and the needs are things that are always there, that are just always there, even when you're feeling all these yucky things.
Yeah, the needs are universal, and they're either met or longing to be met most of the time, right? All of the time. So the feelings, when needs are met, pleasant feelings result. When needs are not met, unpleasant feelings result. Basic fundamental principle of nonviolent communication as taught by Marshall Rosenberg.
I love watching you guide people through this practice, and I can see the magic working in you, Annalisa, as you're connecting deeply with the truth, what's going on here for you, bringing more clarity in. I'm wondering, that feels pretty complete in terms of empathy, and of course, we also have these practices of gratitude and character strength. I thought it might be nice to just touch into that. Sometimes doing just the empathy practice, we're getting very present to the part of our lives in which we're experiencing pain and loss and unmet needs. But that's not the totality of our reality. And I know right now that there's much to be thankful for in your life. I think without going through the full card process, because to do the full card process, we would again be going through 2 sets of cards and doing something similar to what you just did. Rather than doing that, maybe we can do just a mini exercise, which is maybe you could share 3 things that you're grateful for, and perhaps choose a character strength or 2 that you really feel inspired by to bring to this challenge. So that's the question. What character strength am I inspired to bring to the challenge? I find it's a wonderful way, once you've become very present to the challenge, it's a wonderful way to redirect our attention. Anytime there's a challenge, there's a spiritual opportunity to flex what I would call our spiritual muscles, and these are character strengths. So one of the things we hear often is patience only grows when it's tested. And the same can be said of forgiveness, of compassion, of creativity, tactfulness, assertiveness, trust. So there's a bunch of character strengths here, and I'm guessing that something you see there, perhaps more than one, might just call you into being. And when I say that, my experience is when I flip through the character strengths and I'm going through a difficult time, flipping through them one by one, I'll see a card and I'll literally feel my heart light up. And I'm like, yeah, I want to embody more of that. I want to be that in this situation. And it's deeply empowering, but it's also so life-serving, because when we're developing these character strengths, when we're strengthening the muscle of patience or forgiveness or whatever the character strength is that we choose, it's not just going to serve you in this particular situation, but it will serve you in anything that you do in life. I know there are some spiritual paths that say that we are here to learn to love. We are here to develop our strength of character. It's only in this 3-dimensional world that we have the opportunity to grow our spirit, because challenges happen. We can't avoid them. And so our opportunity is to be able to see those challenges as opportunities to become the next best version of who we can be in life. So that's the invitation with these character strengths. Looks like you're just through them.
There's just so many.
I want them all.
I know. Would you like to share with us what you chose?
And what's really great is you have them all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have so many of these character strengths at play in your personality and at your disposal. And so the question is really a discernment question about, in this moment with this situation, of all of these cards, of so many of the character qualities and strengths, which ones could you choose to draw on that you have, or that you want more of, that you have an opportunity to develop and to use to support you right now?
So I picked forgiving, loving, and grateful.
I was going to hold this up. You want to tell us about forgiving, loving, and grateful?
Yeah, how does it feel in your heart when you chose those?
It felt really good. It's possible. It's possible.
They're inspiring qualities, aren't they?
Really inspiring, for sure.
Yeah. Do you imagine just holding these in the forefront of your mind might assist you to work through some of the challenges with greater grace?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. It does make a difference having something tangible, like right here, because these are words that float through my head a bit, but it's more, I don't know, it's going to stick in my mind.
Mhm.
And just the sorting process is such a process. So many emotions with every card. It's like, oh, like I feel like I've dealt with a lot already, actually.
Yeah. So that was like a moment to just appreciate and acknowledge yourself for what you've already been dealing with, and you've already sorted through. That's wonderful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Lovely.
Thank you for being willing to share your heart and be vulnerable to receive love and compassion and empathy, and also to do it in a way that offers a service to other people who could use some support, maybe don't know how to access it. Maybe people who have the cards and they're not quite sure how to use them yet. Really appreciate your willingness to share in a way that can provide that service to other people. So
I hope so. I hope so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a very tender and vulnerable thing to come on camera and do a live video about something that's really up for us when we're in our moment of emotion and trigger or just dealing. And so I'm really grateful to you for being willing to work with us today, to be a support to yourself and others through that, and to allow us the opportunity to demonstrate that process with you.
It's been wonderful. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Yeah, so that was a demonstration on the Love Smart cards. You can get those at lovesmartcards.com, which is scrolling right here. If you'd like to work with Linda or I, you can find both of us at lovesmartcards.com, or you can see Linda's website there at coachlinda.com. So thank you for joining us. May you find strength and comfort through whatever challenges you might be facing at this time. I know 2020 has been a very unusual year with a number of extra stressors. So it's so good to take care of your heart by taking that extra time to identify your feelings, your needs, to put them together in the way that Linda guided Annalisa to do that here. And again, if you don't have the Love Smart cards, you can use words lists. I find that they're not quite as easy to use as cards because a number of words on a list can be overwhelming in times when emotions are high, and it does work still. So if you'd like to try that, you can go to the website. You can download these lists and other tools on the free tools tab. And of course, you can order the cards and try that. Inside the box of cards, there's not only the 4 sets of cards, but there's also a quick start guide. So the process that we did today, you can revisit that process here on the quick start guide. Also have a YouTube channel where we have some demonstrations and other instructional videos on Love Smart cards. So really appreciate you being here today. And gonna just share a picture of the set of cards here so that you can get a sense of what is in the box, including those 4 sets of cards, the quick start guide, and some question cards that can guide you on your way. Again, thank you for joining us, and may love bloom in your heart.